Welcome to Funnel This, the podcast where fintech marketers and founders learn what really works when it comes to brand building and driving demand.
It's hosted by me, Sally Baker. I'm the founder of fintech marketing agency Wondrous.
Follow the podcast on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Just search Funnel This.
Nikolay Sabev, welcome back to Funnel This. Delighted that you've joined me for a second conversation. Nick, you're a fintech growth strategist and marketing expert, and we've already had one conversation about how to build a successful fintech. The details for that episode will be in the show notes, so if you haven't watched it, I do suggest you go back and listen to that. But before we get started, would you like to give us an introduction to your history in payments?
Yeah, it's been great to be here again. I've been in the fintech world a few years, mostly around the embedded finance, payments and acquiring side of business. Mostly specializing not just marketing, as you said, but strategic growth, relationship management. Prior to my fintech entry, I was working in the hospitality industry for Booking.com in Berlin for many years. In very interesting time for the company, just before it got bought by Priceline back in the days. And I also used to live in London many years ago. I worked for the entertainment business for some music festivals like Dimensions and Outlook, doing marketing and strategy for them. And also for one of the best techno clubs here called Fabric many years ago.
Yeah, exciting. So before we get into the future of payments, what do you think is the state of payments today?
It's growing on a daily basis, basically. I think if you keep an eye on all the new developments and technologies, it's amazing. It's like a roller coaster, you don't want to get off that one. I think, you see with every single day how much they get more and more embedded in your daily life. Contactless payments, things are developing rapidly. Payments getting much more seamless, frictionless, and easy to use, and I think, the end goal of all companies in the payment industry is to make payments something that we don't even think about, so convenient for us. I think we'll get there in a few years.
I mean, definitely, I'm sure I, like many other people around the UK, don't even leave the house with a wallet anymore. You've got your phone, that's all you need. Yeah. We've established already over our conversation that you have done a lot of travelling.
Yeah.
Do you see that's the same all over the world?
That's a great question that I've been thinking about recently. Not actually. I mean, it's funny. So the first time I experience a cashless situation in my life was nearly 10 years ago. I was in Stockholm for a concert by my favorite band, Depeche Mode, and they played in this huge venue in Stockholm, and I went there with some cash, and you could not, there were signs everywhere, no cash. And I was like, what's happening here, right? And if you think about it now, like Scandinavia, for example, is a place where cash is almost non-existent. So I read the other day that Dubai is thinking about eliminating the opportunity to actually use cash for the whole place.
Right.
At the same time, you have other places, let's say Argentina, for example, is a very interesting case. So I've been there a couple of times. Super interesting country in general for people who are interested in finances and economics, because they had huge issues with inflation. They have currency that's super unstable. Everyone exchanges the money they receive, Argentinian peso, they exchange it for USD, but cash is king there, right? So I'm saying that not everywhere people are so keen on eliminating cash. And this is something that I don't think it will change for many years, but there will definitely be societies where cash will totally disappear, with also the plastic credit debit cards as well.
Yeah, I mean, sooner the better as far as I'm concerned. It's painful when my kids come to me and say, I need some money for this tuck shop, and I'm like, I don't have cash. Like, I don't carry cash.
I think also from like sustainable point of view, it's great to eliminate all the plastic use and all these kind of things. Yeah.
But then, my kid talking, this is very apt, but my kid's now in secondary school, and when they go into the canteen at lunchtime, if they want to get anything, they just use a thumbprint, or preload a card. And how amazing is that?
Well, I mean, I think last time I was here, I mentioned my trip to China not long ago, and it was so funny because you can actually pay with facial recognition in China. So we were joking that it's a payment with a smile. So you don't even need to like lift your phone from your pocket.
I mean, that is incredible.
See, I think, was it in the UK? You guys have in the US the Amazon Go stores. So Amazon physical store for groceries, and you enter the store and you collect all the grocery stuff. You go out and it automatically charges your like wallet or whatever. You don't even have to put your phone out.
That happened to me. I went to see Coldplay a couple of weeks ago at Wembley.
Right. One of the many shows they did, right?
10 shows,
all sold out, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. But we went to the bar to get a drink beforehand, and that was, you just scanned your Apple Pay, and then you went in, and they're just like, just grab whatever you want, and then...
It's crazy, right?
But my husband and I were both there. We scanned once. Like, how do they know what I've picked up and what he's picked up?
I think the CCTV works. It's like kind of recognizing
simple
what you
as that. But I mean,
it's crazy.
Wow.
I mean,
in such a busy store as well. It's just.
But see how when you eliminate the initial surprising factor, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, how is that happening? Super convenient, right? Like, super convenient, like scarily convenient.
Yeah.
You don't even have to like do anything. Like, so I think that's the future, because people in general, they like things that help them, and are less like do less hassle for them. It's who is going to say no to this, right?
Yeah.
If it's going to save you time queuing. If you at Wembley, you have like 70,000 people at a show. Imagine if you have to queue for a beer for half an hour, you miss out like quarter of a show, right? So who's going to say no to this? So I think this is what...
If only they could fix the queuing for the toilets.
That's... Not sure about how AI can help with that, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe one day. But, I think with payments, it's just, it's one way, it's forward. It will grow immensely. And I think, you should look into China as a place where they try a lot of things. Also, maybe later we're going to talk about the central bank digital currencies, stablecoins. So China is a place which is quite interesting for fintech. So a lot of things that are tested out there, they will come out maybe in the Western world, and after that,
So what would you say are the biggest sort of macro trends that are shaping payments at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, because I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I like the embedded finance space. I like the idea of how payments are getting integrated in every single thing we do nowadays. So, for example, I was buying a ticket a few days ago for a show at Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And then you already have the option to buy insurance with it, or when you order your food, you have the payment integrated there. So embedded finance, it's something, it's a broad topic, but people experience it every day. I think cross-border payment things like stablecoins are quite interesting for me. Also the A2A payments, super fast and efficient. And also another topic that I keep an eye on is the central bank digital currencies. In China, they did some work on that with the EU one. Europe, not so much. I mean, Sweden did some work on that. They tried. I think a lot of people in our kind of Western societies, they're a little bit scared of being controlled on every single like cent they spend on. So we might have a bit of a delay here, but quite exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, with sort of going back to embedded finance, people are experiencing that without even realizing it all
without
the time.
Even realizing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single person every day, like you order the Uber, and that's embedded finance because you actually can pay straight away from the app, So it's an interesting space.
Yeah. So consumers, we know, expect speed, convenience, security. So how can marketers communicate their value?
Yeah, I mean, with fintech and every sort of like a service, especially with B2C, the main message you do is on this more like a human level, like how you help your customer with their daily activities, right? So obviously one thing is very important to communicate ease of use, like the benefit of the service, but at the same time, simultaneously talk about the compliance side of things, the security, the safety. I think with very much regulated and sensitive area like finance and fintech, extremely important is to make your customers feel safe, that you're keeping their data, you're keeping their money, their finances. So these are the two factors. So if you manage to communicate the value of the product while explaining how safe it is, you might have a chance to win them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess a big thing as well is to make sure there's no friction. People just don't expect to have any friction.
Yeah, exactly. People nowadays, as you say, like once you go to this, once you're in this situation of Coldplay at Wembley, when you get your beer or drink at the bar with no wait at all, you want that again, right? Next time you're queuing, you're like,
then you
why
have
am
to
I
sit
queuing?
when you don't. Yeah,
exactly. It's the same thing now when I travel. I travel a lot, so when I go to some airports, some airports, they have these scanners.
Yeah, of course.
So I love that. And when I go somewhere where I have to actually put out my laptop, all the liquids and stuff, I'm like, no, why? Just buy like the modern and like super high tech scanners. You like people like to have this kind of like ease around them. Hassle free things.
Absolutely.
And once they experience them, they want again. So every business that offers them that on a constant basis without friction, like seamless experience, is going to be a winner.
Yeah. I've got to just quickly say that the first time I experienced not having to remove everything out of my case was coming back from Money 2020.
Interesting, emotional.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But unfortunately, well, in fact,
was that Heathrow or?
No, that was Birmingham. So on the way out, Birmingham has now
Nice.
introduced that. So,
Nice,
but yeah, that was my first experience.
Good things.
AI and machine learning in payments. How can marketers translate clear benefits?
AI is a topic that every single time I go and speak somewhere, AI always comes. It's something that people are a little bit excited, but at the same time scared from it. I think companies need to be honest with AI. I think with fintech, they have to be honest about the usage of AI. For example, fraud detection, like keeping the data safe. In a way, if you honestly explain that in a nice and easy to understand manner, I think it's great. Machine learning, I think it's awesome from business side of view because it helps you with the so-called hyper personalization of like targeting your customers with the products they need. I think a lot of the softwares are getting great at that thing. Not only fintech. If we go to like Spotify or YouTube, you'll be surprised how good they are in terms of suggesting like tracks, music that you might like. You don't even know it exists, but it suggests to you and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So I think AI and machine learning, great things. And marketers should brand it as not something like a one-stop shop that AI is doing everything, but more like a behind the scenes protector.
Yes.
Of the data. I think the protection is very important, that you need to talk about AI in the sense that people feel that is just helping them and protecting them, not only like just doing the magic behind, because as I said, it's a sensitive thing that fintechs possess and talk about, finances, personal data. So you have to be really talking about all this AI and machine learning in a nice and honest manner.
Yeah, and I guess, as you say, it's all about keeping data safe. Yeah. And I guess AI can help to speed up some of those processes and eliminate some of the risks, can't it?
For sure. I mean, I think with, especially from compliance point of view and KYC, KYB, it's really helping a lot with also with credit scoring. And I think big banks, even the UK, they use it and they're open about it, which is important. You know? So I think, you have to be upfront with the customers that, okay, we use AI, but at the same time, you're safe. your data is safe.
Sticking with messaging, you've touched already on stablecoin, and crypto historically has had a bit of a bad rep. So what do you think the messaging challenge is? Because, stablecoin's here to stay, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, the first time, I'm not sure about you, but the first time I actually saw a place where you could actually pay with Bitcoin, that was like 10 years ago. I was in Japan. I was walking around Kyoto. It was like a random street in the old town of Kyoto in Japan, and there was a store which says you can pay with Bitcoin here. And it was so surreal.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know you could actually pay, but they just put it there, and I'm like, wow. And now fast forward 10 years later, there is a progress on that. I think crypto, obviously, they're not that popular anymore. Like,
No.
you cannot really like pay everywhere, but there is a progress there. But to me, about crypto, again, you have to be very transparent and honest about, because there's some sort of a stigma around crypto. Like there's always this division about, is it okay? Like, is it totally safe? How does it work? So it will take time. I'm not sure if crypto actually will become so widespread in our daily life, like payments, etc. But central bank digital currencies, as I mentioned, and especially stable coins,
Yes.
I think are here to stay. And I read an interesting article connected to, I was in Buenos Aires not long ago, and they have some issues with local currencies, as we discussed. And there's also an article on that topic of like how stable coins actually is used in places where currencies are not that strong. So if you like live in Argentina, for example, and you work, let's say freelance, you want to earn your money in USD, but you cannot actually get your money in USD. So there are already companies who actually transfer the USD money you receive into stable coin, like a wallet. And then at the same time, you're like having like a secure deposit somewhere with your money. So I think stable coins are going to be more and more popular because they offer cheaper transaction costs, faster than, let's say, Swift and MoneyGram. And again, getting back to the topic, if you can offer something which is cheaper and faster, people are going to use it. So I think stable coins are definitely something that has the potential to disrupt the payment space big time.
Definitely. And I guess it comes back to storytelling again, doesn't it? To get to build the trust, you've really got to demonstrate the proof and show where it's being used.
Here the marketing function comes. In the last episode, we discussed some of the avenues that marketing can really help. Like we talked about demand generation, we talked about user education, So I think with topics like stable coins, which are kind of new in a way to the broad audience, I think marketing help a lot in terms of like educating them in a transparent manner.
So Nick, as compliance gets more complex, what's the role of marketing in building trust?
Definitely trust building tool can be. I think marketing in general has a mission in a way for the fintech to simplify these complex messages related to compliance, regulation, etc. And again, if you're creative enough to be able to talk about slightly boring and like dry topics in a way, but very important, and get them to the audience in the right manner, that's amazing. I think Monzo is doing a great job because if you're a Monzo user, you constantly get these educational videos which are kind of funny about like scams and how you have to protect your money, all these kind of things. But they do them. I've tried it, and I'm not a user of Monzo, but I've tried it because from marketing perspective, it's interesting for me.
Yeah.
So they're very much
a Monzo user.
Right. So they're very much kind of very open and down to earth, talking about such complex things in a nice way. Because I guess they also want to target like the younger generation, around 80, 20, 22. And to educate them to be financially, educated and responsible, which is a great thing. So I think one of the main functions of marketing in that sense is to really simplify the messages about such complex but very important topics and areas of the business.
Yeah, so I guess using plain English obviously really helps. Like, no jargon, that sort of thing.
For
just
sure.
keep it
It's
simple.
kind of like tips, right? Like
Yeah, of course.
for sure.
And yeah, as I mentioned, obviously I am a Monzo user, and I would say
You appreciate that,
an
right?
advocate of the brand. I absolutely love it, but because there's no friction, it's just so
for
easy
sure.
to use. Looking more ahead then, so what do you think the landscape is going to look like sort of over the next 5 years, and what other changes do you anticipate?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's kind of obvious that payments will become more and more invisible and embedded into our daily lives. I mean, I think that's the aim of every like fintech company that delivers payment services. Like as we said, frictionless, seamless, invisible. I wrote an article recently around the future trends of payments, and I think my conclusion was that the businesses who will succeed are the ones that become almost invisible. So you use their services, but you don't feel like you're putting any effort in a way, right? I gave an example with my trip to Shanghai and Beijing in China earlier this year. People were paying with a smile. So this is what I'm talking about. You enter a store, or the Amazon Go stores we discussed, or the Coldplay show that you went and see, this is something that's great and it's here to stay. All the businesses that manage to integrate their products and services in our daily lives without us feeling like any issues with that or any problems, they will be the winners in the end of the marathon. For sure, cash will be disappearing more and more. As we discussed, some places like Scandinavia is almost non-existent. Dubai, we're thinking of removing that. Asian countries, they don't have a lot of them, especially the high tech ones, they don't have almost cash anywhere. Physical cards will totally disappear for sure in the next 5 years. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's interesting, but we'll see like a lot of developments in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. I'm interested to get your thoughts on the traditional bank. What do you think the future holds for them on the high street and
I think
beyond?
They a lot of them are trying to change. A lot of them are acquiring fintech companies, because we shouldn't forget that brick and mortar banking institutions, they have a lot of cash, they have a lot of liquidity, so they can actually afford to buy some fintech businesses. There was a deal with Curve recently, right? Like Lloyd's bought Curve for around, I think, 120 million pounds, which was like a very low price for the business. So I think they will be changing. They'll try to blend some of the fintech features into them. But see, for some time, there is, especially for the older generation, people, some of them, they like to have physical bank. Like especially people like who are, let's say, 60 or 65 plus, they like to go to the bank. They feel safe if they see a bank. Like, oh, my money is there. If you tell like your granny, all your savings are in a Apple Watch or a phone, she'll be like, is it safe? That's the first question, right? Is it safe?
Yeah.
So I think traditional banks are definitely here to stay as brands, etc. They won't disappear, but obviously they'll have to change. They have to start blending in some of the agility of fintechs. Like they have to start offering more and more flexibility, and also like faster customer support, responsiveness, and much more like flexibility in the way they handle businesses. But a lot of them will survive because, again, it's great. I mean, they have physical presence, a network, so they'll definitely be around for a while.
Yeah. So sticking with the future and how you expect things are going to change over the next 5 years. So from a product point of view, what do you think marketers should be prioritizing right now?
For marketing perspective, they just have to be continue being consumer centric and very transparent about their messaging. As I think we discussed last time, how important is the connection and the sync up between product and marketing teams and sales, of course, and IT and compliance. But I think product and marketing very important, like, very, very important to be together, like stick to each other, because marketers have to understand their product, the market, right? So they have to continue being customer centric, very much trust driven. I think I mentioned last time that I would always implement compliance related features and matters into all my marketing efforts. Not just talking about how easy to use the product is, but also how safe and reliable it is. So that has to continue.
Yeah, so keep an eye on what else is happening out there. You've got to stay up, because as you mentioned before, once you've experienced something once, you want to experience it again.
The audience would expect it from you. Yeah.
So to finish up, I'd love to know, what are you most excited about in terms of the future of payments?
There are quite a few areas. Again, embedded finance will continue to grow for sure, because it's all about the integration of payments, the seamless, invisible one, into our daily lives. We discussed that already, so that's definitely here to stay. Stablecoins, so definitely keep an eye on this thing. Again, cheaper, faster payment transfers. Why not, right? People are always going to take that. We have some road to go there in terms of kind of educating the crowd around it. I'm interested to see, again, we touched upon the central bank digital currencies. I'm interested to see if that's something that can be implemented in, let's say, Europe somewhere. China, it works. It's a system that is very peculiar, very interesting in a way, but maybe for Europe it will take time to be integrated, because there is some sort of a fear of this kind of like a big brother thing. They're gonna know every single thing I buy or something, because sometimes with cash you have this sort of anonymity that some people still enjoy. And I think I like this idea about the so-called invisible payments, like this, the Amazon Go, the payment with a smile, the facial recognition thing. I think from a user point of view, this is what I'm mostly excited, because it will bring me this sort of like convenience. So if I go and see Oasis or Coldplay, I don't have to wait like an hour at the bar. It's going to be 5 minutes, so I can go back and continue to do it. So let's see.
Let's see, indeed. Absolutely. I'm totally here for increased convenience. Nick, thank you again for joining me today. We will drop the details of how to connect with you on LinkedIn in the show notes. And also, if you haven't already listened to our previous episode, How to Build a Successful FinTech, then those details will be there too.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Funnel This. Follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed it, do share with someone else who might find it useful too. See you next time.